Hey everybody, this is Robert with RC Archery. Thanks for tuning in to Tuesday's tip of the week. Alright, so today's video is going to be talking about our shoulders, more specifically just kind of our rotator cuffs. And the reason I'm bringing this up is about 3 weeks to a month ago, I actually injured my shoulder somewhat, not horribly bad, but enough to slow me down for a little bit. So that's why you've been seeing pretty much all the videos that I've been doing for the last couple of weeks have not involved shooting. And that's because I've been taking a break from it all and doing a little bit of rehab and a little bit of resting. But basically, what I'm going to do is go over some information that I've received from this whole ordeal and just kind of talk about that a little bit, and it might help you along your way as far as maybe dealing with some small injuries, stuff like that. Now, I didn't have a tear. A tear is going to be completely different as far as the way it's treated. May or may not have to have surgery, but you're going to have to speak to the right sources. But this was just more like a strain, more so overworking it too quickly, and just putting some undue tension, undue forces on it. So I don't know if you've ever heard of it, the 10% rule. So when you look at like distance runners or any kind of physical activities, working out, stuff like that, military, sometimes they'll use this in some of their training. But the 10% rule is basically your body can withstand a 10% gain of whatever you're doing each and every week. So in an archery standpoint, if you were shooting 100 shots a day, then you can raise that up by 10% the next week. So, as a whole, if you're shooting 7 days a week, that's 700 shots, and you can do 10% of that. You can add another 70 shots. I would say space it out per day, however you want to do it, but that's the idea. So what I did, knowing that rule, using it myself and a lot of other things that I've done, but in the archery side, I didn't think anything about it. It's shooting a bow. It's weight that I can maintain. It's weight that I've shot. It's me doing it over and over for years now. It's not a big deal. But up until recently, I haven't shot every day. It was a couple times a week kind of thing. I've gotten the opportunity to be able to shoot more consistently, and not thinking about it, I started shooting each day, and I started shooting a lot each day. I had a new bow that I was setting up, trying a lot of different things, different stabilizer combinations, stuff like that. So I noticed starting to get a little bit sore. I ignored it, typical guy, didn't listen to it, ignored it a little bit more, and finally was taking a shower one morning after shooting, raised my hand up to wash my hair, and couldn't get it above here because something was impinging in my rotator cuff. And that's when it all started, and it just kind of radiated from there. It's up in the top and all around it, and it's just kind of a bad deal. So I have a really good friend of mine that works with an orthopedic surgeon that specializes, can't even say it, but specializes in sports injuries. So I talked to them, let them know what was going on. They sent me over a packet basically of stuff, and if anybody wants this, I can email this out to you. Send me a message on here, comment below in the video, email me, I'll put my link up. Let me know. I'm fine with sending it through. Basically, it talks about preventative measures, complications, things to look for. The biggest thing that I used it on was just how to address the injury. Basically, when it first happens cold, you need to get the inflammation down. So I used ice packs, cold packs, stuff like that on it. Just doing that periodically. There's a certain amount of times you're supposed to do it, a certain amount of times a day as well in each session that you need to be doing that. And then once the inflammation and everything calmed down some more, then I could start with more like a rehab thing. And it goes over a lot of that in here as well. And basically, using a heating pad or some kind of heat source on the shoulder to warm you up before you start was recommended. So I did that. And then this has a lot of stretches in it. So that's one page of it. And there's 2 or 3 pages of these on here. And they talk about using a broomstick or a golf club. I'm an archer, so I use my target stabilizer, long bar on the front. But basically, any of the exercises you do, and there's several of them, it's not using muscle in your arm when you're doing it, it stretches. So that's why they're recommending using a bar and basically just, pulling that arm up and around behind you, or, however the exercise and the stretch may be, and using this as the forcing factor, holding the stretches and doing it. And I saw a lot of gains from that very quickly. The stretching is something that I brought over now. I'm able to shoot again, a little bit lighter load, and that's actually why I started and picked up this Hyper Edge, because I wanted the Z5 cam. It's a little bit less stressful cam than the spirals that I was shooting. It's a little bit easier on my shoulder. Right now I'm still shooting it pretty much the same, 70% let off and 56 pounds, which is the exact same as what I was shooting the podium, but it's an easier draw cycle. So I haven't noticed any, soreness, strains or anything like that. I'm keeping myself pretty low in reps and everything right now too. But it is helping. So that's one of the reasons why, I wanted to switch to this. The other reason why was just the bow itself. I know they hold well. I wanted to see kind of their problems and work through it on that. But that was, my story and kind of what I was going through, but just something that I wanted to kind of bring out. One, the 10% rule, don't overdo it. Don't kill yourself on what you're doing. Don't be dumb like me. And then just kind of the stretches and everything. Again, if anybody's looking for it, I will email this out. I have no problem with it. I'm going to go over a couple of stretches really quick so you can kind of see it. Maybe if you don't want to get it, these are the ones that work the best for me, and I'll show you how I'm doing them. All right, so the first stretch that I want to do a lot and that I think is helpful is to stretch out all the back portion of your shoulder, your rotator cuff and everything in here. So when you're drawing the bow, that's the muscle that's getting used. That's what's getting the most force. And basically it's just driving blood flow to the area, which is really important in the healing process. Your shoulder actually does not get a lot of blood flow into it. So you have to force the blood into it, which is the stretching is what that's doing. The heat and the stretching is forcing blood into that area, and it actually is what's helping repair the tissues and helping repair the injury. So when I first started doing this, it was just, a typical like this, and you can feel it through here as you're doing it. Now what I found was they have another exercise in here involving, what I'm using as my stabilizer, and it was taking my arm and pushing it upwards and just kind of pushing it up and pushing it to the side like that. That really helps this area as well. It may help it a little bit more, but that's one that I like to do a lot as well. I actually found really just by doing with the door frame. So if you want to grab a door frame, do it like this. So I've stood next to my target and done it a couple times, however you want to do it. But I can grab the top of a door frame and pull my arm backwards, with my body, and just let myself stretch like this. And that helps stretch this front part of my chest and my shoulder and everything up in this area. It's really good for that. It helps the top part, which is where I was having some issues. And then the other portion of that is holding onto the top of the door frame and kind of pulling, but where your arm is kind of being pulled this direction, and back a little bit more, and that stretches back here. It's just kind of being creative with it. Find out what works best for you and your situation, where you're at. Another one that I really like to do is to grab the door behind me. I'll use my hand and I'll just grab it like this, and then I'll walk my arm up it, and that stretches right in here really well as well. So those are the ones that I found the most use out of, and really it's the only ones that I'm using. There's several of them in here. Another thing that's really good about this too is I have some workouts to do. It's shoulder specific workouts that are going to help. Now that's what I'm using for now. I did hear this morning when I listened to the podcast for the Knock On podcast that John Dudley's going to work with some people in my hometown state, a little bit south of me, the On It group, and then he's going to be hopefully working out some better exercises that are archery related. So I'm really excited to see those. I've been doing a little bit on my own, but I know that's going to be a better situation. It's going to be a better solution. So I'm really excited to see all that, see what's going on with it. When that does come out, keep an eye out for it. I'll try to repost it on my Instagram channel, maybe talk about it on a video or something so that you know it's out if you hadn't seen it. But I appreciate you tuning into the video for this today. I've got one more thing that I want to talk about, completely off topic about any of this, anything going on, but something for me to be able to do. Again, I have some time right now, and before that time is more so taken away from me, I wanted to be able to use it to reach out to several archers all at once when I'm able to. So I'm gonna give 3 archers that wanna work with me on coaching a complete free deal. I'll take you however many hours, however many days, whatever it takes, start to finish, from whatever you want to do to an end point. Now, I have my own ideas on what I want to do. I have my own structure on my programs that I do. I always talk to you first and find out what your goals are, where you're at, where you want to take it, and then I will taper and structure my program to what will help you the best in your goals and your time frame. So I do want to point that out, but if you just come to me and say, hey, I want to get better, I have my own structure, I have my own methods that I'm going to use with you that work really well. So the reason I'm wanting to do this, 3 people that get chosen for this, you can email me, you can comment in the section below on the video, whatever you want to do. But the first 3 people, they're the ones that are going to get it. I do want at least one of you to be able to do Skype with me. That's a really big one. I work with a lot of people on that, and it's really helpful because only thing it takes away from the scenario is me being able to touch you. That's the only thing. But I've never had a really big issue with that, because when I can see somebody, I can see what they're doing, I can explain that to them by showing them on myself and then going back and forth with them. It works really well. Usually do half-hour or hour sessions. There has been times when I've worked with archers in an hour session that really goes beyond what I thought it would, because they pick up that quickly on it. Now, I also work through email. I can do videos, I can do pictures. Videos work best. Cell phone videos are even fine. No big deal. I have a program on my computer, I can blow them up, I can make it easier to see. But whoever wants to do this, I just want it to be known that it's going to be public. This is something that I want to do as a showcase. I want to show everybody my processes, take everything, from the beginning to the end of my processes through it all. So I do want to preface that if you do the program, you have to be able to say, okay, it's fine, everybody can watch everything that I do all the way through. This video, testimony, anything like that, I'm going to put it out there so people can see and just document it. It'll probably be condensed and it won't be as long as the full process, but I do want people to be able to see what's going on. That way, if you choose, you can work with me. I have some, different things on my website, and I'll put some information to that. Again, appreciate you watching the video today. I look forward to hearing from some of y'all to be able to start showcasing this platform. Take care of your shoulders. It's a big part in the archery world. Don't be dumb like me and do too much all at once, or pull too much weight as well. I see that as a big one too. Thanks again for tuning in today. Keep an eye out for some more content on my Instagram channel, on my Hyper Edge build up, and some more of these Tuesday tip of the weeks. I'll see you next time.